Alright, so it is Saturday night. I had duty yesterday, got off, got home, and after I ate some breakfast, I started playing away at the other boards for my second apron, my rear apron. As I had mentioned in previous videos, the rear apron is going to be, I designed it to be a little bit long or wide, tall, if you will, to give me the options of a Nicholson style bench in the rear once I get to a place that I can actually use the front and the rear of the bench. So I finally got all four of them done, and they're ready to glue up. If you were wondering, I still have to cut a housing dados in this really long or wide piece to accept the legs and the wedge system. So that'll be interesting. I'll have to use some different angles, but I may just kind of come in at, straight on one, obviously, and then kind of come in at the angle with deep enough angle for a nice size wedge, and then kind of straighten up after that, or I don't know, we'll see. I'll make up my mind as I'm laying it out, but I wanted to bring you along for the glue up. And yeah, so I've got everything laid out. I've done my rehearsal. All my clamps are ready. I'm doing it inside, obviously. It was raining earlier today, so I didn't want to run the risk of all the moisture, having to deal with the moisture and possible rain and all that. So, doing it in here, it'll dry overnight, and I'll get started on the housing dados tomorrow. It's exciting. I've already got the other one cut to length. I pulled it out of the clamps, got to cut to length. This will get cut to length in the morning. But so getting back to the glue up, I've got my clamps and everything all laid out. I've already done the rehearsal, marked all my clamps where they're going. I've got plenty of glue. I've got my applicator. I got some scrapers and some wood stuff to get up any excess glue. Try and help clean it up a little bit. And since I'm inside, I didn't want it to drip all over the floor, so I've got some plastic down there below the bench, or below the what will be the rear apron. I tried to think of different ways or some things that may make such a long apron not really user friendly, or I was trying to play devil's advocate and think of reasons why I shouldn't do an apron that tall, but I couldn't think of anything. So I don't know if it doesn't work. Then I pull it off and I rip it down to a width that's agreeable, and I go from there. But for now, this is what I'm going to do. Alright, so I guess we're ready to go. This is that like love-hate relationship. Like I love glue up because it's like, finally I got all my stuff done. I'm ready to glue it up. Let's do this. But then you're like, alright, the second you start squeezing that glue out, the clock starts and everything starts to set, so you got to move. So if anything else, you at least get a good laugh, because this is not, I haven't yet to do a glue up ever in my life where something didn't go just as planned. So we'll see. I think I've got everything prepared, and I guess let's get to it. I'm only going to put the glue on one side. That seemed to work just fine on my other one. My glue up, my offcut didn't have any problems. And after I did all the mock-up of the clamps and everything, I did get my V in here, so I know I'm putting everything back in the right spot. And I could just slap it together with this zigzag, but I'm going to go ahead and apply it with the applicator to kind of spread it out. This way I kind of know, I know where I'm thin, I know where I have, you know, too much or not enough glue. And I squeeze these together by hand and then with clamps to make sure that they were going to press together with no problems with the joining. And I'll tell you, once I got to that point, once I had I need to spread this faster. Once I got to that point where I had all of them planed and I thought they were good to go, I did my rehearsal with the clamps and everything and realized, just with 2 clamps, and realized I didn't have, see I'm a little thin right there, realized I didn't have a good seam. So I had to go back and fix that. Do a little planing on the edges and get a good seam. So if you're doing this, be ready to do that. And I have this is like worst case, worst conditions. You know, I'm inside. I have hardly anywhere to move. But you know, I'm making it happen. I really don't know what else to say right this minute. I'm really trying to concentrate on getting this glue applied. Trying to lay it on thick, that way if there's any misalignment or gaps or whatever in the seam, that they get filled. So everything going pretty smooth, almost too good to be true. And I have more glue sitting aside because I think I might run out on this bottle. Maybe, maybe not. But I'm making sure to put plenty of glue. I can always clean the glue up. Just barely running out. It's always nice when you don't have to open up a brand new bottle. Right at the end. Alright, Sorry, I apologize now because this video is probably going to end up being kind of long. Getting glue everywhere. Well, it's glue. It's going to be a little messy. That's to be expected, I guess. Get it over my plastic. Alright, so far so good. My V's all aligned and everything's good there. The 8-footer, or the 8-inch, the 2x8 is a little bit longer than this one, than all the rest of them, so let's get everything lined up. On one side, that way I have a little bit to cut off of the end. And I can take the majority off the other end. And these setup clamps are awesome. I call them setup clamps, whatever you want to call them. They're little pipe clamps with little feet on the bottom of them. And they're great for this. Good squeeze out, that's good to see. And with this, I'm just snugging them up. That way I can still move them if I need to. This is going to be the front, so might as well get it nice and flush. As flush as I can anyway. I'll plane it down at the end. And this glue's already setting up. Alright, I can handle that. Alright, nice and snug. Get a couple good ones here on the end. And again, this is where that marking where your clamps were, so you have even distribution of your clamps, comes in real handy. I'm just snugging them up here. Boy, that rehearsal is so critical. Making sure all my clamps are straight. Last thing I want to do is introduce something else, some more twist or something I gotta get rid of later. Just kind of putting the clamps on, kind of like the way you would do anything mechanical, even like changing a tire or whatever. Do one side and then do the same thing on the other side. It's not necessary, but why not? Just seems right to me, I guess. And I got the idea for these clamps. I've never used them before, but Paul Sellers talks about them and uses them in all of his videos. So I figured I'd give them a shot, and I did the same thing he did, put little leather pads on there. I don't know, I used Gorilla Glue, so they kind of hardened up, so I don't know. We'll see. Now it's time to tighten her down. I've learned that over the years, I guess, to not get so tight that it's ridiculous. But you can tell I got plenty of glue. I got lots of squeeze out. I'm just kind of making sure it's tight enough, but not like ridiculous tight. Because then you're squeezing all the glue out, right? So I'm just making sure I have even pressure and good pressure. And I think that's about it. I'm going to do a little bit of cleanup, but a little damage control, if you will. See if I can scrape some of this stuff up while it's still wet. This seems to work out pretty good. Just taking a scraper and scrape out the majority right there at the seam. Seems to work really, really good. And all the other drips or whatever you've got. I have found it much easier to get it now than once it's dry. Some people think it's better to do it once it's dry, but whatever. I'd rather not goop up my plane. with a bunch of goo or mess up. You know, it's not like I got, I mean, I guess I do kind of got a lot of chisels laying around that, you know, aren't really users anymore or yet. And, but I don't want to use, I don't know, this is not what chisels are for. I do have one of these that when I was doing my tops, I found it handy I sharpened it just like I would a chisel. And it took it off pretty good. It attacked the glue goblets pretty well. So, yeah, I'm pretty happy I got, at least to this point. I started having problems again with the new lumber, but, I mean, because it was twisting it too, but not a lot. The other lumber that I used for the front apron, man, you know, I can't remember a time where I worked with a piece of wood that was that pleasurable. It was just so nice. And it was during the week, which made the whole week, the whole rest of the week anyway, that much better. This seems to be working out rather well. And, you know, I said I've never had a glue up that went flawless. This is about as flawless as it gets for me anyway. But the fat lady hasn't sung yet. Won't know that until, you know, it could float on me here in the next, you know, little bit and screw me for the whole thing, but it doesn't seem like it's going to yet. She's pretty tight in the clamps, and I'm pretty satisfied with the glue, the amount of glue. I think I'll probably scrape more off than it's in the joint. Which is fine. You know, you can always wipe glue off. Just can't put it back on once it's can't put any more on once you're there. Once you're already glued up, that's it. So going back from there. Point of no return. You know what? I'm going to leave the bottom. I'm going to leave the bottom to just drip, and I'll globber it, you know, clean up the goblets in the morning. Me now, I'm going to take a shower and hit my pit. Hope I didn't disappoint you. Didn't get too much of a laugh. I'm sure it's funny watching anybody glue up because it's just so, I don't want to say nerve-wracking because it's not nerve-wracking, but whatever. It'll be interesting to see how the housing dados come out on this and on this long one. The other one's just like 2 inches longer than Cody's from Wrangler Star and his bench. So that'll be pretty easy and straightforward. But tomorrow, I've got all the pieces. My apron I am going to do out of a 10-inch, solid 10-inch whiteboard. I've already got one semi-planed down, and I can get really thin with it because the thinner I go with that, really, I mean, it starts off at 1.5 inches. If I end up at 1 inch, hey, that's great, because that means I have more room in my wellboard or in my my tool wall. Yeah, so I've got frames are done, tops are done, one apron's done, the other one's gluing up. I'll cut wedges tomorrow, chop the housing dados, and I'll have to do some gluing and screwing for the tops, or for the bare board, for the frame that the tops go onto, and then drilling for hardware, and that'll be it. I think depending on how fast I can get through the housing dados tomorrow, that'll determine whether or not I actually get to put it together. I'm going to be so close that there's no way I'm going to be able to pass it up. So it'll get finished. One way or another, I'll either be finished with the bench and installing the vise, one of the vices, at least by the end of this week, or by next weekend. By next weekend, I will definitely be installing the vices, or at least one vise. And yeah, pretty stoked. There's probably something I'm forgetting that's going to make me go really long, but I can't see it. I mean, other than the cleanup where I've got to, clean all the marks off everything and sand it down, and I'm gonna finish it with boiled linseed oil. That's my typical finish, other than maybe some shellac or some kind of that's really all I've ever used. I don't use any kind of stain or anything like that. I might throw a little, if I want something darker, I'll throw a little stain in the shellac, but shellac, depending on what the piece is, shellac or boiled linseed oil is my go-to, so I might end up going with something a little bit different if I do stuff food related, like a fruit basket or cutting boards or whatever, just because boiled linseed oil is not meant for food. Oh, I still have to peg everything. But that's just drilling holes and pounding it. I don't have to make my own dowels, but so that'll be happening probably tomorrow too. So we'll see. It'll be interesting to see how far I can get in one day, but I'm going to go to bed now so I can get up and get a good early start. So friends and family, I love you. Mama, I love you. I'll have a cup of coffee with you in the morning, hypothetically anyway. Yeah, my bros, Mark and Raj. Love you guys. And peace out. See y'all tomorrow.